Welcome, everyone. So I wanted to begin this morning with some very old phrases that are very relevant. These are the last of the Brahma-viharas. The Brahma-viharas come from the Buddhist tradition. And it's actually a method of meditation, repeating these phrases in your mind. So the last one is in Pali, the language of Buddhism, is upekkha, or equanimity. So here are the phrases, and you might just sit and receive them, or if it feels right, you could repeat them silently in your mind. This is what is happening. May I be with the comings and goings of life. May I accept reality as it is, rather than how I might like it to be. This is what is happening. May I be with the comings and goings of life. May I accept reality as it is, rather than how I might like it to be. Continue to breathe and notice sensations in your body here. The interesting thing about this phrase is that I find myself often saying it in difficult moments. And yet, we can say it any time. So notice here, you made it here. You're here for your meditation and yoga practice. Perhaps having created some space for yourself to attend to what's important to you. And practice this morning will be particularly aimed toward a sense of calming and grounding. So that might mean something different for each one of us. And I'll lead practice, offering postures and some breathing practices, some time for stillness, all aimed toward recalibrating the nervous system. But each of you knows what is going to recalibrate your nervous system, and that might be emergent. That might be in the moment. So I encourage you, as always, and especially today, to attend to your intuition and to practice in ways that feel right to you. So interestingly, yoga practice offers us two kind of contrasting paths there. One is a path of focus and centering. So for instance, you feel a difficult emotion come up, you might simply be with it, whether you're in stillness or if you're moving through asanas, but you might really let yourself be with it, and that can be such a gift. And sometimes that is not the gift. Sometimes it's actually right to follow another path. That path might be the one of, okay, there's a difficult emotion coming up. It feels like it might overtake me. Instead, I'm going to redirect my energy and focus to something calming or grounding, which might be your breath, which might be physical sensations in your body, or it might be something else that you know that's your particular tool from your toolbox. So what's great about asana practice is that you can walk those two paths kind of simultaneously. So you might choose in one moment, okay, I'm going to be here with this deep focus on whatever I'm feeling, whether it's sensational, physical body, or mental, emotional. At other moments, you might say, whoa, I'm going to actually utilize my yoga practice right now to find a sense of calming and grounding that isn't so much focused on that sort of intense noticing. So I offer that from, particularly from a book that I've been learning a lot from called Trauma-Sensitive Mindfulness. And both might be appropriate, and of course you are the only judge of that. Yeah. So let's start with a seated sequence. I encourage you to have lengthen your spine. You might be sitting with something underneath you. We'll do the seated sequence and then we'll do a few rounds of Om. So we'll just kind of center ourselves in physicality. So next time you inhale, reach your arms wide and up overhead. And then exhaling, turn to twist. And breathe a few breaths there. And notice what feels right for your head and neck, for your shoulders. And next time you inhale, come back up through center, reach the arms up. And then exhale, twist to the other side. Again, checking in, seeing what feels right, particularly for those areas where you might be holding tension. Next time you inhale, come up through center, this time a side bend. So take the right arm down, reach the left arm up and over. Anchor down through the left sitting bone. And then inhale up through center, both arms up. And exhale, tip over to the other side. As you lengthen through the right side, you might even breathe a little bit more fully into the right side of the ribs. Right. Next inhalation, come up through center. And come back to the twist. So left hand across to the other leg, the other hand behind to support. So right now you're in a spinal twist. We're going to add a little bit of a side bend here. So you can keep the left hand where it is, but take your right arm, reach it up, and lean over to the side. Good. Yeah, and again, head, neck, wherever feels most comfortable. And then take that top arm and cross it over to the opposite leg. And it might not reach the knee or anything, whatever feels right to you. Press your hands forward and round through your spine. You can press the belly back. And breathe into the back of your body. Next time you inhale, come upright through the spine. Give yourself a hug. So left arm's under here. And in this hug, you might anchor your sitting bones, but do a little turn through the upper body. And you could stay right here or take this into eagle arms. So you might try taking the forearms vertical, maybe hands wrap. You could always come back here if that feels right to you. Feel free to stay in stillness or to circle the arms, to lift and lower the forearms. See what feels right. This can be a great way to release tension through the upper back. You might feel this underneath the scapula, the shoulder blades. Good. And then next time you inhale, unwind your arms, reach them out to the side, really stretch through your fingertips and lift your chest. You can draw your ears back and lift your chin. And from here, take the right hand over toward the left knee, twist. Add a bit of a side bend here, reaching the left arm up and over. And then cross the left arm on top of the right and round. So you could press the hands forward to help you round through the spine. Maybe dropping the chin toward the chest. You might even soften your eyes here. From here, bring your spine upright. Give yourself a hug with right arm under. Good. And again, maybe moving a little bit side to side, which can be a very, physically practical movement, like you're mobilizing your thoracic spine. It can also be just a really lovely sentiment to offer yourself a sense of hug and warmth and kindness. Either staying here or transitioning to eagle arms. And again, this might be in stillness, or you might play around with some movement here. So some of what we'll do is, throughout practice today, is focus on things that attend to the areas of our bodies that tend to be tight when we're stressed out. So here, upper back and shoulders. Yeah, big surprise. I know, it's brilliant. So here, upper back, shoulders, etc. And then when you stretch your arms out, reach through the fingertips, lift your chest, draw your ears back. So some spaciousness through the chest, the heart area. Good. From here, bring your hands down. Feel free to readjust. If you've been sitting for a while, you want to switch the cross or extend your legs. We'll open now with the sound of Om. So you could bring your hands together in front of your heart or be in any other hand gesture that feels right to you. Eyes could be opened or closed. See if you can find a balance here between a little bit of focus, some length in your spine, as well as a sense of ease. Maybe softening through the belly, softening the facial muscles. And then I invite you to join me in making the sound of Om 3 times. When you're ready, inhale. As you exhale, bow your head towards your heart. And release your hands. Lift your chin. Open your eyes if they were closed. And please make your way to tabletop, to hands and knees. Since we are sitting for a while, you might want to stretch one leg out at a time. And then make your way to some cat and cow stretches. So inhaling to lift the crown of the head and the sitting bones. And exhaling to round, pressing the floor away, drawing the chin toward the chest. We can add a little flow into these 2 postures. So next time you're in the back arch, pause there for a moment. And then as you exhale, start to round through your spine. Let it take you all the way back towards a child's pose. That works for your body. As you inhale, bend your elbows, draw the chest forward and up, eventually straightening the arms back into cow pose. Exhale, round, press back toward some form of child's pose. Inhale. Come forward. Do a few more on your own. And then the next time that you are in child's pose, rest there for a few breaths, and you might readjust, taking the knees further apart or closer together. Make it a balasana that works for your body. So feel free to keep the hips more lifted. You can always feel free to swap out another posture that feels restful for you in this position. Take a few moments to notice your breath. It might be your natural breath rhythm. You might choose to deepen your breathing. And the next time that you inhale, make your way back up to tabletop. And begin to shift your weight side to side. And each time you shift, you can turn the fingers out a little bit more, warming up the wrists and the forearms here. You might end up with the fingers turning out. You might end up with fingertips pointing back towards your knees. It's all going to be based on what you're feeling. We're really just going for a natural range of motion, no sense of pain. Press into the finger pads and the knuckle mounds. Good. And then once that feels complete, come back around to fingers facing forward. For this one, you might choose to sit back. Flip your hands over and press the backs of the hands down, fingertips pointing towards your knees. Yeah, and try and get toward the base of your wrists there, pressing down within reason. Good. So I'm sitting forward a little bit, so that's going to be more intense as I lean back. If that's too intense, you could sit up and do this where you're not doing any weight bearing at all. So it's just a gentle placement of the hands. Good. Options. Great. And then just take a moment to shake out your hands. So sitting back on your knees or in another position, shake out the hands. Good. Come back to tabletop. Continue to press through the finger pads and the knuckle mounds. And we'll do a few circles through the spine. So you can think of these as rib circles as well. Shift your ribs over to the right. And then begin to round through your spine as you come through center. Then ribs over toward the left. And then start to lower the ribs toward the floor as you come through center again. Over toward the right and rounding. Feel free to make these your own. Some people really like doing this with more circling of the hips or more movement in the shoulders. After you've gone one direction a couple of times, circle the other way. And then feel free to take this into any free movement that feels right to you. One that I really like is circling the shoulders with the hands on the floor. You might try that. You might head back to child's pose for a breath or two, whatever feels right. When you're ready, make your stance a little longer and tuck your toes under, lift your knees up, stretch your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Good. Feel both hands and at least some of both feet on the floor. Feel free to have a generous bend in your knees so that you can reach the hips up and back, creating more length in your spine. Options. You could take a few more breaths here in downward dog. You could come to a resting posture. Or you could inhale to roll forward to high plank. And exhale to lift the hips up and back to downward dog. So we'll come back to these options a few times in practice. Great thing is you could make a different decision each time. And as you're ready, we'll all meet up in downward facing dog. And then from there, bend your knees even more and walk your hands back. So you'll end up at the back of your mat in standing forward fold Uttanasana. Here, notice what feels right to you. You could let head and neck release. You might say some gentle yeses and nos with your head or sway your torso. Other options, notice if this forward fold is too much for your low back, you could keep the bend in the knees, cross your forearms just above the knees, and keep the spine more parallel to the floor. I'm showing that option if that's one that might work best for you. Good. Feel the soles of your feet on your mat, and through the mat, the sturdiness of the floor. Beneath that, the sturdiness of the ground, the earth. And pressing down into that sturdiness, the floor, the earth. Next time you inhale, spread your arms wide, lift your chin out of your chest, reach all the way up, touch palms up overhead, and then bring your hands down to your heart. Good. Release your arms to your sides and stagger if you're close to a neighbor so that you have enough space to do standing twist. Yeah, or you could turn to the side as well. Good. So standing twist, I encourage you to lift your opposite heel as you turn so that the lower body joints are turning with you. I love lovingly thwacking my arms around my torso. You might like to just spin the arms through the air, which is also great. See what feels right. Try taking a hand up over the opposite shoulder. Again, a little thoracic mobility there in the mid-upper back. Good. And then come back through center. This is one of my favorite things to do and really useful right now. Give yourself a good wiggle shake. This is a lymphatic shake. It helps your lymph system move stuff through. And what's in our lymph system right now, if we're overstressed, we got extra hormones flowing through. Wiggle it out. Yeah, some brushes on the skin can be really helpful here. And tangibly, this can be a really great way to release fascia. Just whatever brushing feels right to you. And then energetically, of course, this can be really great too. Yeah, some tapping could feel good as well. Okay, so that was a whole bunch of movement, whatever feels right in your own body. And then try finding some stillness as well. It might be helpful to have the feet at least hip distance apart. Maybe a gentle bend in the knees to get really grounded. Begin to find some stillness in mountain pose, Tadasana. Sometimes this can be a moment to notice that we haven't been still. Or to notice the actual physical body moving forward in space. So I encourage you to anchor a little bit more into your heels, letting the toes relax. To align your hips more over the heels. Might even be a little bit of a movement backward. To align the ribs and the shoulders over the hips. And you might even slide your skull back. Just enough so that it is also over the shoulders, over the ribs, over the hips, and over the heels. Take another slow, full breath in. And try and exhale through your mouth. You might do that 2 more times. It might be audible. Good. Interlace your fingers out in front of you. Turn your palms out and press away. And as you press, you can bend your knees and round through your spine. You might even drop the chin toward the chest. And then from here, come upright and release the interlace. Interlace your fingers back behind you. Roll your shoulders back, lift your chest. So there's a rounding. Now there's some lengthening through the spine. You can draw your ears back, lift your chin. Good. And then come back to that first shape. So interlace the fingers. You might try your non-dominant clasp. Round. And then when you're ready, come upright, switch the interlace back behind you, lift your chest. Good. So all of this could be done without, if the interlace is too tight for the shoulders, you can just reach the arms back, you can press the arms away coming forward. So we'll try this breath by breath. With or without the interlace, exhale, round, arms out in front. Inhale, lift your chest, arms back behind. Follow your own breath. Okay, let's do one more. Good. And then as you finish up that one, just let your arms relax and notice how this feels. Good. So next one we'll do is a side bend. And this one too can be done with or without the interlace. So without might just be kind of like you're holding a beach ball up overhead, stretching up and over. With the interlace, you could turn the palms up and stretch up and over. So as you reach your arms up and over to the right, shift your hips over to the left. Good. And then come up through center. If you want to, you can switch the interlace if you've got it. Up and over to the other side. Good. And then up through center, we'll add a little complexity. So up and over to the right. And then from here, start to come forward. I like to bend my knees. Sweep the arms around in front of you and come up on the other side. Good. And then let's try it the other way. So leading over to the left. Circling the arms in front and around, coming up to the other side. Good. So with the arms free, you can do the same thing. Try that back and forth a few times. And it could be not so much of a fold forward. Good. I'm seeing also people coming all the way down to the floor. That can be a great option as well. Good. After your next one, find Tadasana once again. Arms relaxed. Great. Inhale, reach your arms wide, stretch up. As you exhale, sit back, Utkatasana, chair pose. Arms could stay up here. You could bend the elbows into cactus arms. Arms could be out in front, so lots of options. Attend to your shoulders. Here, anchor into your heels. Let your toes relax. And it's the fun truth that yoga helps us deal with difficult things by helping us find centeredness in discomfort. So we'll take one more breath here. And then lift your hips, bring your hands to the floor. Make your way to downward dog. So if you're at the back of your mat, you're going to crawl forward with the hands. If you're more toward the front of your mat, you'll walk the feet back. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Press the floor away, let head and neck release. Again, feel free to have a generous bend in the knees, attending more to a sense of length in your spine than legs straight. Good. Bring your 2 feet a little closer together. And reach your left leg back behind you for downward dog splits. Inhale here. As you exhale, draw your knee in towards your nose and shift forward, shoulders over wrists. As you inhale, stretch your leg up and back. As you exhale, draw the knee in, shift forward, press the floor away with your hands. Inhale, up and back. We'll try one more. Exhale, draw the knee in. Inhale, up and back. Bring your foot to the floor. Bring your knees to the floor. Rest in child's pose or another comfortable resting posture. So notice the transition here from weight bearing in the upper body, the effort, the coordination of breath, to a few moments of rest. Allow the muscles in your face to relax. Soften your belly. And next time you inhale, make your way back to downward facing dog. This time you know what's coming on the second side. And bring the 2 feet a little closer together. Reach the right leg up and back. This could also be a great place to be. So if the movement and the shift forward to plank doesn't work for you, stick with one-legged downward dog or downward dog splits. If you're moving with me, as you exhale, draw your knee in, shift forward. Inhale, extend up and back. Start to find your own breath rhythm and do 2 more. Press the floor away, press into finger pads and knuckle mounds as well as the base of the palm. This time, after stretching the leg up and back, bring both feet to the floor. The next time that you inhale, look forward in preparation. And as you exhale, step or lightly hop toward the top of your mat. Good. Fold forward here, finding Uttanasana once again. Maybe head and neck are releasing. Again, that option to support the low back. You could have the forearms above the above the knees rather. Press down into your heels. As you inhale, spread your arms wide, lift your chin out of your chest, stretch all the way up, touch palms. Exhaling, bring your hands to your heart. As you inhale, spread the arms wide, stretch up. As you exhale, sit back, chair pose, Utkatasana. Again, arm options. This time around, we'll transition from chair to a lunge. So hands could come to hips or stay where they are. Step your left leg back. Good. So that transition might require a little fine tuning. So once you get it back there, make sure your 2 feet are about hip distance apart. And then inhale, reach the arms up. Exhaling, sweep the hands back behind you and interlace them. Roll your shoulders back, lift your chest. Again, if that interlace doesn't work great for your shoulders, your body, you can have hands to hips. Good. From here, spin your left heel to the floor. Turn your body toward the inside of your front leg and fold forward. Anchoring strong into your legs and your feet. See if you could do this without laying over your right thigh. Good. Release your hands, bring them to the inside of the right foot. And then walk them out at an angle. Most likely they're going to be off your mat. Pressing your hands down and forward, reach your hips up and back. And everyone take a peek at your right knee. You want it heading toward the pinky toe side of your foot rather than the big toe side. There it is, good. This posture has the lovely name of downward dog lunge. So you're more or less doing downward facing dog in your upper body. You're doing a big old warrior 2 type lunge in the lower body. Notice that you have both hands, both feet on the floor, so anchor into that steadiness. Walk your hands to the right as you lift your left heel. You can frame the front foot with your hands. Inhaling, sweep your right leg up and back behind you. Exhaling, bring your foot to the floor. Shift forward, high plank. This time, exhaling, lower down in a manner that works for you. So knees could come down first. Do this in a way that works for your body. We'll come to Shavasana, so bring the arms alongside the body. Inhaling, lift head, chest, arms, and legs. Good. Locust posture. Let's add in a little bit of arm movement here. So inhaling, sweep left arm wide and up alongside the ear. As you exhale, sweep it back. Inhale, sweep right arm wide, up alongside the ear. Exhale, sweep it back. Good. You could do that again or do it with both arms. Rest whenever it's appropriate for you. Good. If you're still lifted, rest. You might make a pillow with your hands. Let the muscles in the back of your body relax. Breathe your belly into the floor. Feel the movement of your breath in the back of your body. Downward facing dog. Next time you inhale, look forward in preparation. You might even lift your heels. As you exhale, step or hop to the top of your mat. Fold forward, Uttanasana. We'll go right to chair pose on the second side. So bend your knees, sweep the arms wide. Maybe they go up and overhead. Maybe elbows go wide. Anchor back into your heels. Let the toes relax to your mat. Start to shift your weight to the left so that you can step the right leg back again. Hands might change position to accommodate. Good. As you get grounded in your lunge, make sure your feet are about hip distance apart. Reach your arms up. Good. From there, sweep your hands back behind you. Maybe it's an interlace, maybe it's hands to hips. Draw your shoulders back, lift your chest. Spin your right heel to the floor. Turn your torso toward the inside of the left leg. Bow to the inside of the leg. Good. Great. I see folks taking the option of skipping this part with the hands off the floor. Feel free to bring your hands right to the floor. That is a great option. So if your hands are not yet on the floor, bring them down to the inside of the left foot. And then walk them out at an angle. So your upper body is more like downward dog, wrists in front of shoulders. And use the hands pressing down to reach your hips up and back. Take a peek at your left knee. Good. With gentleness, aiming it more toward the pinky toe side of the foot. Think of that action, work with that action as coming from your hip joint rather than just moving the knee itself. Downward dog lunge here. Walk your hands to the left as you lift your right heel. High lunge. From there, downward facing dog. As you inhale, shift forward to high plank. As you exhale, lower down in a manner that works for your body. Bring your arms alongside your body. Lift head, chest, arms, and legs. Locust, Shavasana. Sweep the right arm wide and alongside your ear. Sweep it back. Sweep the left arm wide and alongside your ear. And sweep it back. You might try that with both arms or repeating one at a time. When you're ready, rest. In the resting, remember, this is what is happening. May I be with the comings and goings of life. May I accept reality as it is, rather than how I might like it to be. And feel into this moment. The relative challenge or ease you may feel. And remember those paths, those options. Maybe you are settling into a sense of focus and really feeling directly what's going on for you. Maybe you are redirecting your energy as a way to ground. Perhaps focusing on breath or sensations, or using another tool that you have for yourself. downward facing dog. Next time you inhale, look forward in preparation. Exhaling, step or lightly hop toward the top of your mat. From there, take a few breaths in Uttanasana, standing forward fold, one that feels appropriate, useful to your own body. And then grounding through your feet. Inhale, spread your arms wide, stretch all the way up overhead. And exhaling, bring your palms together down to your heart. Good, we'll do a couple of standing balancing postures. So shift your weight over to your right leg and take hold of the top of the left foot for a quadricep stretch. Feel free to use a wall for support. Good. So now feel you only have one foot on the floor. Our feet are so amazing. Right? Supporting us. So you might feel all those micro movements and still relative stability, perhaps. And then lengthen up through your spine. Reach the right arm up. And then from here, you could stay here. This is a great place to be, particularly if low back is not wanting any more back bending. You could also add in a little bend in the right leg, a hinge forward at your hips, and then press your foot back and lift your chest. Take it into more of a back bend shape. This is a version of Natarajasana or dancer pose. Notice where your gaze is, your drishti, your focal point. And perhaps play around with lifting it higher. And or turning up the corners of your mouth. It's an old one, but a good one. As you inhale, come on up. If you are tipped forward, release arm and foot down. Any sort of wiggle, shake, release, if that feels appropriate to you. Stillness might also be great. Good. We'll try that progression on the second side. So shift your weight to your left leg. Take the right leg into a quadricep stretch. So remember that any of these positions might be a good bus stop for you. So you could always stay in that position. Anchor down into the left leg, perhaps adding left arm reaching up. From here, possibilities. You could try a bend in the left knee. Hinging forward at your hips, pressing the foot back and lifting the chest. Again, if your drishti, that's your focal point of your gaze, is down low, you might just, without too much seriousness, try lifting it. It might bring a smile to your lips. It might make you bring your other foot to the floor. And take ourselves slightly less seriously sometimes in these standing balancing postures. Good. If you're forward, come on up. Place hand and foot on the floor. Excellent. Shift your weight to your right leg. Draw your left knee in. And so we're back to the first side. We've got the left knee in. We're basically going to do a half hip circle here. So staying rooted on the right side. Widen the left knee out to the side, but only so far as the pelvis stays facing forward. So now you've got that left leg in external rotation. From here, place your foot on your inner right leg. Could be above or below the knee, could be at the knee. Just making the the right leg very strong. Left leg very strong as well. And then arms as you wish. It is true that it is also spring right now. You might feel this sense of emerging spring energy. Notice your breath, the movement amidst the stillness. And bring hands together at the midline, draw your left knee in, and lower your foot as you lower your hands. Vrikshasana, second side. Shift your weight towards your left leg. Draw your right knee in. So get a sense of the bones of your pelvis here. And then keep the bones of the pelvis just as they are. Just widen the knee out to the side. You can think you're just widening externally rotating the thigh bone. And place your foot. Good. Keeping the left leg strong. You might choose a different arm position on this side. Your choice. Great. And for this posture, I didn't mention it on the first side, but you might notice what drishti, what focal point works best for you. So I challenged you in dancer pose to lift your gaze, but notice what grounds you. Bring your palms together at the midline, turn your right knee in, and release your foot down as you bring the hands down. Great. We will add some complexity to the same flow that you just did. So if you're not at the top of your mat, come to the top of your mat. Inhaling, spread your arms wide, stretch up. Exhaling, sit back, chair pose, Utkatasana. As you inhale, lengthen through your spine. Good. This time you're going to step left leg back, so hands could come wherever they feel most supportive as you step left leg back. Sweep the arms up, lift your chest. Take the hands back behind you, interlace or hands at the low back. From here, spin the left heel to the floor. Turn toward the inside of your right leg and fold. Anchor strong through your legs. And bring both hands to the floor, to the inside of the right foot. Walk the hands forward. Downward dog lunge. Upper body like downward dog. Lower body like an open lunge, like warrior two. Good. So here's where we'll add on a little bit. So walk your hands to the right and lift the left heel. So you come around to a lunge, your hands framing the front foot. From here, bring the left knee down. Wiggle the right foot out to the right a little bit and turn the right toes out. Left hand could be on a block or the floor. Turn towards your right leg and stretch your right arm up. Good. So this open twist could be one possible bus stop. You might choose from there to reach back, pick up your left heel, and add in a quadricep stretch. That's not going to be right for everyone. Focus on the twist first and foremost. If you do have hold of your foot, try drawing your hips back towards your heel. So you're starting to close the knee joint. And then as you get heel closer to bum and bum closer to heel, then perhaps draw the hips a little closer to the floor. Everyone draw your shoulders back, lift your chest. From here, unwind, bring both hands to the floor. And inhaling, sweep the right leg up and back, downward dog splits. Take your time rearranging. So be right leg up in the air. Next time you exhale, draw your knee in towards your nose, shift forward. Inhale, extend your leg up and back. This time, as you draw the knee in, take it wide towards your right outer arm. Inhale, up and back. And last one here, draw the knee in, take it over toward the left upper arm. Pause, press the floor away. Then extend your right leg out. Bend your elbows and lower down onto your outer hip. Everyone's favorite. So right leg is forward, other way. Right leg's other way.
Right leg is forward?
It is. So you're crossing the midline, right? Yeah, you got it, Wendy. So once you're lower down, your IT band might be like, no effing way. So salute. So you could bend the right knee, and that would give you a little bit more space here. From here, it's also a big old twist. So with the legs straight or bent, take left hand to left hip. Turn your left hip toward the floor. Take your hand to your left ribs. Turn your left ribs toward the floor. From there, hands could stay on the floor, forearms could come down. So Hank, get your outer hip on the floor. Yeah. Good. Feel free to holler questions as well. Yes, I know, it's so weird. So you can think like the back leg's like spiraling, internally rotating. It's not necessary. I mean, if you want to go for more, sensation or stretch or something, or strength building, go for that. Here, it can be a huge stretch for many people for the outer leg. It's also a twist. So,
Right hip is touching the floor, it's not above.
yes, right hip is on the floor. Ooh, I really got y'all with this one.
It sort of feels like an ultimate twist. It feels really twisty.
Yes, because it is an ultimate twist, because you're twisting through your hips and through your spine. Good. Oh, I love that I got you all with this one. I like the ultimate twist as a name. I don't know a name for it. Some of my Hampshire students years ago decided to call it resting warrior, but resting in this pose is not always aligned for every practitioner. So, it's not splat. So press your hands down. Here's where we get a little bit of strength building. So try and keep your legs strong, whether that bottom leg is bent or straight. Press into your hands and lift your leg up. Draw the knee in and come back to downward dog splits. Then come to downward facing dog. Now we got to do that on the other side, y'all. Lift the left leg up and back. Exhale, draw your left knee in towards your nose. Shift forward. And inhale up and back. This one goes wide toward the left outer arm. Shift forward. Inhale up and back. Exhale, draw it toward the right outer arm. Press the floor away. Extend your leg. Come down onto the outer hip. Good. Okay. This often is just helpful if you have a hand on your body, it's tangible. Right hand to right hip, turn it down toward the floor. Hand to ribs, turn those down toward the floor. From there, hands could stay on the floor. You might come down to forearms. I didn't mention this on the first side because we had many other exclamations, but you could, for some folks it is possible to bring chest to the floor and arms out to the side. You might even hold your foot. Assess what is most useful to you. Keeping the back toes tucked under. You can look up at me for a moment if this is interesting to you. You could chug back and forth on your outer hip. Chug. Yeah, that might be useful for outer hip stuff. All right, so we had lots of questions on the first side. Now y'all kind of know the position that you're in relative to your body. Let's try 3 slow, full breaths. So grounding and tuning in. Using strength, steadiness through your legs. Bring your hands down. Make your way back first to downward dog splits, and then both feet on the floor. And then both knees on the floor. Rest in child's pose. So options for this child's pose. You could stay here, obviously. You might also add in a side bend, so you could walk the hands over to the right, maybe even lifting and taking the belly over toward the right thigh a little bit more than the left. And after a few breaths on that side, perhaps walking the hands through center and over toward the other side bend. And finding center again if you're doing those side bends. Downward facing dog. Next time that you inhale, look forward. Exhaling, step or hop there. Take a breath or two in standing forward fold. And then we've got the second side for the series. So bend your knees, sweep the arms forward and up. Utkatasana, chair pose. We'll go right back, right into it. Remember, you always have options, even when we're doing good, strong asana. This is a really important point to be very clear with your body and to build that inner relationship and inner trust rather than doing anything I'm saying arbitrarily. This time, you're going to step your right leg back. Once you're rooted, sweep your arms up. From there, take the hands back behind you, perhaps an interlace, perhaps hands to the low back, lift your chest. And then spin the right heel to the floor. Fold to the inside of the left leg. Remember, hands could come down now, or you might still have the hands back behind you. And then everyone transitioning to hands to the inside of the left foot, walk the hands forward, press the hips up and back, downward dog lunge. There's a lot of engagement in these postures, so notice where is it important to be engaged? Where might there be unnecessary tension? Walk your hands to the left as you lift your right heel. Once you're back in a long lunge, bring the right knee down. Wiggle the left foot out to the left, turn the toes out. And with your right hand on a block or the floor, turn towards your left leg, reach your left arm up. Stay there or reach the hand back, picking up your right foot for a quadricep stretch. Good. Good. And again, if you've got the quad stretch, try working toward closing the knee joint first. So butt toward heel, heel toward butt, before coming into the hips coming any further forward. Everyone's looking great there. Everyone turn the chest open to the side. And then turn back down toward the floor. With the hands grounded, inhale, sweep the left leg up and back. Here we are again. We're going to do it quicker this time. Exhale, draw your knee towards your nose, shift forward. Inhale, extend your leg up and back. Exhale, draw the left knee out toward the left upper arm. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, draw it toward the right upper arm. Pause, extend your leg, bend your elbows, lower down. All right, I got something new for you this time. Stay upright and do a little quarter turn and allow your right foot to come to the floor, right heel to come to the floor, toes turning up. You'll be faced toward the back of the room, the back of your mat. And from here, you might just assess, is this, does this feel too wide or not wide enough? You could shift, so now you're in a wide V with your legs. Knees might be bent here. See if you can have the toes and the kneecaps pointing relatively toward the ceiling. Good. If this is plenty of stretch for your inner legs, stay here. You could also begin to hinge forward on your hips. Fingertips might walk out. You might come down to your forearms. Good. So Upavishta Konasana. Good. Upright is a great place to be here. And if as you tip forward, if the legs turn out, you might just try fingertips back behind you, lifting the chest. Good. So now the fun is the transition. So here you're in Upavishta Konasana with the legs out wide. Bend your knees a bit. Turn back toward the front of your mat, allowing your right hip to lift and your right leg to turn in. Toward the front of your mat. There you go. Lift your hip, draw your knee in, extend your leg up and back. And then both feet to the floor, back to downward dog. Now this one will become more normal. Inhale, right leg up and back. Exhale, knee to nose. Press the floor away as you come in. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, take the knee wide, right outer arm. Inhale up and back. Last one, cross the knee over. Extend your leg out. Lower down. Good. Nice. Little water bottle kick there. Good. So you just get oriented for a moment, and then we'll do our quarter turn, allowing left leg to turn up. Good. Upavishta Konasana. So like all of our seated postures, we want to be anchored on the sitting bones rather than rolling back. So that might mean bending your knees. It might mean staying upright. Good. If it's appropriate for your body, you might also try hinging forward at your hips. Maybe you come down to forearms. Breathe here. And if you're tipped forward, come upright. And then everyone turn toward the front of your mat. So as you do that, allow the left hip to lift. You'll eventually internally rotate that leg. Press your hands down. Lift your hip. Draw your right knee in. Extend it up and back. Well done. Both feet down. Both knees down. Balasana, child's pose of choice. One option that I haven't yet mentioned in practice is if the knees are wide, you might take your hands in between your knees and reach back towards your feet. I always think of that as the most childlike of child's postures. And for some, it's really delicious. For others, it doesn't feel great. So it's one option. Rest. If it's useful to count your breaths, we'll be here between 3 and 5 slow, full breath rounds. Gently make your way to a brief downward facing dog. From there, step your right foot forward. You're heading towards a lunge, but it's just going to be brief. Bring both hands to the inside and do a little quarter turn so that you're actually ending up in a straddle, wide forward fold. Good. And then here, knees could be bent, spine might be more parallel to the floor, or you could hinge forward. That's all going to be based on how your body's feeling, maybe particularly low back and legs. You've done so much good attention to the adductors to the inner thighs. We'll kind of culminate that with Scandasana or half squat. So walk the hands to the left. You can turn the left toes out. Begin to bend your left knee. And you might keep the feet lowered down. So hands stay to the inside of the front foot. You might keep both feet down, and this is your pose. Or you might start to lower left hip toward left heel, in which case right toes might turn up. Yeah. It's half a squat within reason for your body. From here, make your way to your second side. So right toes turn out. Again, sole of left foot may stay on the floor. You might turn the left toes up. Good. And then start to shift side to side. This could be kind of a very grounded action with the hands pressing into the floor. You might also try using the strength of the legs and have hands off the floor, hands minimally helping. Another thing to note here is that it could just be really different whether you're using your hands or not. So you might do less if you're not using your hands, or more if you are. Good. Awesome, everyone. All right, the next time you have your right leg bent, so you're toward the front of your mat, do a quarter turn, so you're back to a lunge. Good, this time step forward. And make your way to a squat. Squat of choice. So you decide how far or close the feet are, if the heels are lifted or down. See if you can get some length through your spine. Hands might be on blocks. There could also be blocks under your sitting bones. Good. Okay. Grounded position. From here, make your way to seated. Take your feet out in front of you with knees bent and feet a little bit wider than hip distance apart. Take the knees over to the left. Take your right hand and sweep it around. Reach like you're reaching for something you really want. In the summertime, I always say, for a seltzer. And then keep your feet, relatively speaking, where they are, but come back up through center, lift the knees, and we'll switch it over to the other side. So knees go over to the other side, sweep the left arm around, reach. Breathe. And come back through center, and you decide if the slow pace feels really good, feel free to stick with that. If you'd like to do this breath by breath or even faster, you could also be shifting side to side more quickly. We were mostly reaching, as I looked around the room, straight out from the shoulder. Feel free to also reach down toward the floor or up toward the ceiling. That can provide some different stretches for the spine and the shoulder. Right. And then as that feels complete for you, come back up through center. Good. And take your feet so they're hip distance apart. Now I'll turn to the side for this one. And take your hands back behind you, and you can just decide what feels right in terms of the placement of your hands. For some folks are going to turn fingers in, for others fingers out or back. So step one, draw your shoulders back, lift your chest, draw your ears back, gently lift your chin. Here's bus stop one. You could stay right here or add lifting the hips. So if you press down into your feet, you could try lifting the hips up. And that might also inform the position of your hands. It's just another bus stop. It's not better than the previous posture. Good. If hips are lifted, bring them back down. Good. Roll onto your back. Draw your knees to your chest. With knees hugged in, options. You could breathe in stillness. You could rock from side to side or in circles. And the next posture will be the last one that I'm specifically directing in terms of postures. I invite you to try out Happy Baby. So take the knees wide toward the outer armpits. You might hold on to outer shins or outer feet. Here too, you could stay in stillness or rock from side to side. And as you finish up with this one, check in with your body, your mind, your heart, and see if there are any other postures or movements that would feel balancing, grounding, or calming to you here as we head toward the end of practice. If any come to mind, do those now. And otherwise begin to set yourself up for a restful Shavasana. Remember that Shavasana can be done in any position that feels restful to you. So feel free to use props. There's even a version of Shavasana that's downward facing, so on your belly. Good. If being seated feels more restful than laying down, feel free to do that. As you settle in here, allow your breath to come back to its natural rhythm. And if your mind should wander in a way that feels not so helpful right now, remember the tools that you have. It could be a connection to your breath, feeling physical sensations. Maybe it's a particular phrase, or any of the other tools that you have cultivated yourself. Rest deeply here.